Happy Monday, my friends, and welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. I'm, of course, your host, David. I'm playing helping right there is my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. And on today's episode of the Prime, we're going to be giving you our rapid reaction for day one of the NFL free agency, as the deals have been coming up fast and they've been coming in hot. Let's get into this content. TJ, how are you, man? Happy Monday, my friend. Hope you had a good weekend.
I did. It was a good weekend.
And thank you to my Aunt Judy for checking out the podcast. We do appreciate your continued support. It's been a very interesting day, last couple days, really, as we kind of gotten into just flurry of moves in the National Football League as first day of NFL free agency. If you had to just say one word to describe what we've seen so far, what would that word be?
Prototypical.
All right.
This kind of happens every offseason, every free agency period. You kind of see, we see this time and time again. Like it shouldn't surprise you, especially like some of the deals that we saw. Well, some of the deals shouldn't surprise you.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's do it. So rapid reaction. So we're going to just do a quick reaction to every deal we've seen over the last 24 hours. Next, we're going to swing all the way back to last week, as we didn't get a chance to talk about some of the deals that were made last week on Friday and Thursday. Let's start first with our team in Chicago. Let's talk about the Joe Thuney trade. Give up a fourth-round pick next year. You get Joe Thuney as a member of the Chicago Bears. Just rapid reaction. What was your thought on that trade?
Good. We need that trenches. Yeah, that's one thing we talked about here.
Yeah, I love that trade. I think it is a slam dunk trade. Like I can't even tell you how happy I am with that trade. And in Kansas City, I don't understand the decision that went behind trading him to begin with. To be frankly honest with you,
I mean, I do. I get it. Championship rosters get expensive. Players get at some point in time. It's like, and especially in a place like Kansas City, where it's like I've won 3 Super Bowls or however many Joe Thuney's gotten since he's been there.
Well, he's got 2. I think he has one when he was in New England too.
New England. All right, so
he is an elite offensive lineman. Like he is as good as it gets.
He's like, all I know is winning, and I got to make some money now. And I know he's probably still under contract.
Yeah, he's got 2 years left on his current deal. So the Bears don't really have to do anything for a while with him on their roster.
And if you're Kansas City, it's like you kind of got to start prepping for, that one day that you're gonna look up. Joe Thuney ain't gonna be there. Creed Humphrey's not gonna be there. Travis Kelce's not gonna be there. So you're gonna have to. You might as well get some for him while you can, versus just losing them piece by piece.
And then after that, Geno Smith traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. What's your take on that trade?
That was shocking. I wasn't expecting that one.
I couldn't believe it. Like I think as we'll talk about what happened with Sam Darnold here in a little bit, but they a 2025 third-round pick to Seattle in exchange for Geno Smith. It's pretty obvious that the Raiders are probably going to stay pat at 6 and not try to get a different quarterback. You get to reunite Pete Carroll and Geno Smith after they had that one really successful season there in Seattle. who basically rejuvenated his career under Pete Carroll.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
Like
like. I mean, for Vegas, I mean, I guess yeah, I like the trade. You can still
it's
probably take a quarterback later if you want to, because Geno Smith's
that's what
only
they
under
doing.
contract.
That's what they doing. So you get Gino. I think them drafting them trading for Gino all but guarantees you're getting Genty at 6. So Ashton Genty is probably going to go to the Vegas Raiders at 6, and then that still allows you to grab a Milrow, a Dart, a his name's escaping me. I think he was like Nevada, the QB from the
Uh, yeah,
don't
I know what you're talking about, but yeah, that name is escaping me right now too.
in like the second or third round. That's all. But the to trade for Gino, it shocked me. Because I wasn't expecting that one. Like the entire off season so far for Seattle is just shocking me right now because I'm just not getting it. I'm not understanding
I don't understand what they're doing either. Like, I mean, they don't necessarily have the draft capital to take a quarterback in the first round. I mean, I guess they're going to have Sam Darnold. We'll get to it. But staying in Seattle, on what was the day was this? Was this Monday or no? I don't remember exactly what day this was. I think this trade can't be technically finalized until the league year starts on
the
the
12th.
13th. Yeah, the
12th,
12th.
13th, one of them days. Yeah.
But they have also traded away DK Metcalf.
Yep.
He was now going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He will sign a 4-year, $132 million extension, and a second-round pick will be going from Seattle from Pittsburgh to Seattle. And they also swapped 6th and 7th round picks in this year's draft as well. DK Metcalf is in Seattle. What do we think about it?
Uh, DK Metcalf and Steel City. First off, like on paper, that duo is like you're what you call it. You're a little intimidated by that duo of DK Metcalf and
Pickens.
George Pickens, and then you sprinkle in a Mike Williams, and it's like, which Mike Williams are we getting?
Well,
And
I
then,
think they still have to figure out who's going to be throwing him the football. But
right, and then you also can't sleep on Pat Fryermuth
yeah,
at the tight end spot.
uh,
So it's, I mean, first off, if you're Seattle, if you're Pittsburgh, it's hell yeah, let's do this, let's go, right? Hey, figure out the QB. We can do that. Let's fucking go. Um, on the Seattle side, again, the math ain't math, and like, why, like, what are we doing here? Like, you got rid of him being DK. You cut Tyler Lockett. Like, you can't sit here and tell me that you couldn't get a 4th or 5th for Tyler Lockett. You just straight up said bye.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing could have potentially happened to Cooper Kupp too. The Rams would kind of announce that they're not able to trade him. They're probably going to have to release him as well. And then on Sunday, things were action packed on Sunday too, with Josh Allen basically getting the biggest deal in the history of the NFL. 6-year deal, new 6-year deal worth $330 million, 250 of this.
Myles Garrett got the most money for a non-quarterback player.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, both those contracts were signed on Sunday, along with Mike Crosby, who was the highest paid non-quarterback for like 2 days before Myles Garrett. And I'm surprised because we have a little bit with like the Browns. You talk about, Myles Garrett requested this trade, and then Jimmy Haslam refuses to take a meeting with Myles Garrett, and then not even 2 days later, he's the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the league. So I just think that timeline is extremely interesting to me.
It is, because again, I say it all the time. Just because a player demands a trade, these teams don't have to trade them. It's not okay. We're gonna what? Oh, you're demanding a trade. All right. Well, let me get on the phone and see what I can conjure up here. It's no. You demanding the trade? Hey, suck it up, Buttercup. Dead ass. But they kind of did right. They had to do right by Miles Garrett. It's like, hey, if you ain't gonna trade, I'm not gonna trade you, but I will back up every Brinks truck I have to ensure your happiness. And unless it gets to a point of like AB in Pittsburgh, AB in Vegas proportions where the player is just that disgruntled, just that unruly, just that disruptive to the point where it's like, you know what? Hey, I don't care if it's a 6 round draft pick, just get him the fuck out of here. Type disgruntled, then yeah. Like if it gets to that, like Miles Garrett don't give off that kind of vibe.
No, 100% not. He seems
Like
like a corner point piece. And Josh Allen probably was underpaid for the last couple seasons. He probably gets
all
what he's
things considered.
rightly deserved, money wise. Then from there, let's talk about a little bit more free agency stuff. The stuff that happened today. Unless you can think of anything else that was major that we should probably touch on real quick.
Over the weekend?
Yeah, I think we touched on everything that was super relevant.
That was of relevance over the weekend. Yeah, like kind of when no, that was already what you call it. That was already talked about when we talked about yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So let's go to some individual teams and individual moves. Let's first start in New England, where they spent the Brinks truck up to a bunch of guys. They bring in Morgan Moses for 3 years, $224 million, taking him from the division rival. They bring in Harold Landry after he was released by the Titans over the weekend. 3 years, $43.5 million. Defensive lineman Milton Williams, who had 3.5 sacks in the Super Bowl. 4 years, $104 million. They got Robert Spillane. That contract details have not been released yet. Carlton Davis also is going to be a Patriot. 3 years, $60 million. How do you feel about the money that the Patriots have spent? They also stole Mac Hollins from the Buffalo Bills.
I love what New England's doing. Again, it's like you see it. Bad teams get a lot of money in free agency. It's like a couple every year or two where a bad team has a boatload of cap space. And all of a sudden they get people to come. That's kind of what's going on here in New England. It's not just Morgan Moses. Like you reunite Harold Landry with his former defensive guy and head coach and Mike Vrabel. I just got a notification that I think the Chargers got Najee Harris from the Steelers.
I think he was a free agent anyways, but
don't matter. Like teams always, hey, the team you play for always has first crack to re-sign you.
Yeah.
So if you're New England, like I kind of said that when we did that season preview, you can have a lot of money, but can you convince players to come to you? Right? I don't. Just because you got a lot of money don't mean a lot of people are kicking down the door to come play for this iteration of the New England Patriots. Like now, if that was 12 in that huddle calling them plays.
Yeah, obviously. And Bill Belichick was, still hoodie Belichick.
Right.
Darth Belichick.
Darth Belichick, Yeah.
Yeah.
If that was them.
And I mean, outside of Harold Landry, Morgan Moses. I mean, this is a team that should be much improved next season. If they can really bang it out of the draft with taking a Travis Hunter or continuing to build his offensive line in the draft. I mean, this is a team in New England who could potentially pushing for a playoff spot next season, depending on how the development of Drake May is.
I still think I ain't finna go that far.
I said pushing for a playoff
no,
spot.
No. Because I ain't finna go that far because. So like they went what 4-13,
something like that. Yeah.
Man, hey, I feel like if they go from 4-13 to I'm 6-6 and 11, 7-10 on a good day. First off, you like in the AFC, you ain't getting close. Like you're not even close if you just win the 7 games. I'm just
that's true.
Throwing that out there, and if you do that, yeah, you're fine. Like that's what you're shooting for if you're New England.
Staying in the AFC East, the New York Jets think they found their quarterback potentially of the future. They bring in Justin Fields on a 2-year, $40 million, with 30 of that million being guaranteed. Justin Fields to the Jets. What do we think about? He gets to reunite now with Garrett Wilson, one of his college teammates.
First off, I love it. I want nothing but success for Justin Fields, and who better to coach him than the guy who gave him a headache, than the guy he gave a headache for a bulk of the time here in Chicago.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll never forget Dan Campbell saying, "Thank God Justin Fields ain't the quarterback of the Bears because he gave their ass a headache. He made life hell for them. Like they won those games, but he ain't make it. I think Justin Fields beat them one time.
Yeah. But I mean, all of those games were pretty close. I mean,
Close. Outside of the game in Chicago, I think the Bears won that one by like 10. Yeah, they that was a 2-score game.
And I love this opportunity for Justin Fields. He gets to go to New York, and this is an opportunity he's going to have to be the guy. He doesn't have to worry about anyone taking this particular job from him. I still think the Jets are going to draft somebody, but I don't think they're going to take him in the first couple of rounds.
No,
because there's some talent. There's some talent on this team. And I think Justin Fields, this is a good situation for a young quarterback who still wants to be,
I think they obviously you still got to rebuild the offensive line because again, like you need a left tackle. You need a left tackle.
And a right tackle.
And a right tackle. I like Elijah Vera Tucker when he's on the field. So you need a guy who's not gonna be a statue back there. So in case protection breaks down, JF1 can take off him and Garrett Wilson. Hopefully they still have that rapport from the Ohio State days, so on and so forth. I still think they are looking at Jordan Travis to be QB of the future. That's just me. If they take a quarterback in the next year or two, obviously that's not the plan, right? Like we already know what it is on Jordan Travis. You took a flyer on him anyway because he was a 5th round, like he was a 3rd grade quarterback. He tears his ACL in college and he falls all the way to day 3, falls all the way to the 5th round. So you took a flyer on him anyway. So if Jordan Travis never sees the field for you, no one's gonna bat an eye about it. But I like this move for Fields. I love it, actually.
I love this for both the team and the player. Swinging to the AFC North, Ronnie Stanley going to remain in Baltimore, resigning as a 3-year, $60 million. Ronnie Stanley, when healthy, which has been quite a question mark over the last couple seasons, has been one of the best left tackles in the NFL. And I think you want to keep that rapport with that offensive line and that offense and continuing to build on that running game there in Baltimore.
Yeah, so it's funny because I think I was talking with my brother and our cousin. I think the minute Ronnie Stanley got re-signed, all of us hit our group chat like, "Fuck, Ronnie Stanley got re-signed," and we really sat there like, "Well, was there ever really a chance he wasn't?" It's like, was there really a chance he wasn't gonna get re-signed? It's like, he probably was gonna get re-signed. He's like, but then we can dream, can't we? And it's like, no, like, be realistic. Ronnie Stanley wasn't going nowhere.
No. He was never going to leave Baltimore. I mean,
Baltimore.
They made him the highest paid left tackle a few years ago. Injuries aside, he's still one of the better left tackles in the NFL. To the Cleveland Browns, they trade for Kenny Pickett in exchange for the Philadelphia Eagles for a DTR and a 5th round pick. I don't really understand this trade, but I guess if you're Cleveland, you need to have a backup quarterback because he's going to play that you can trust. And I just don't think that person exists on the roster right now.
No,
Kenny Pickett probably is going to be starting a lot of games for the Cleveland Browns next season.
Yeah, because it's no disrespect to DTR, but it's not him. And DTR more so fits what they want to do in Philly versus what's trying to be done. And
100% agree with you on that. Swinging into the AFC South, the Houston Texans trade away Laramie Tunsil.
Speaking of shit that don't make no sense.
They acquire five-time Pro left tackle Laramie Tunsil from the Houston Texans. Washington's going to send four picks to the Houston Texans: a third and a seventh in this upcoming draft, a second and a fourth in next year's
Next year.
draft. The Commanders will also receive a fourth-round pick this spring from Houston. So if you're the Commanders, you've now added Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil. You address your two biggest needs before free agency and the draft even opens up by having now a legitimate left tackle of the future in Laramie Tunsil and Deebo Samuel. But I don't understand this on the Texans side. Like, you just extended him, I think, this most recent offseason. Why trade him?
I can't explain it. I thought I remember on the days of our triangle days when that happened, when that picture of him doing
with the gas mask,
the gas mask went viral, and it was all because of a disgruntled family member who he wouldn't hire to be something for him. I forgot what it was. He went to I think he went to like an agency for his agent or whatever, and a disgruntled family member who felt shunned posted that picture, say, "Hey, this is Larry Tunzel doing the gas mask." I don't know if he was like at a college party doing it, but either way, he was in his free time doing it. And Larry Tunsil literally went from the projected number one overall pick, and everybody's like, "I'm taking him off my board. I don't trust him." He failed to Houston. What was that? At 10?
No, he got drafted by the Dolphins and then got traded later. But I think he was like a top 15 pick. I don't remember where, but he did fall.
But he failed.
Yeah,
and he got because he spent because we called the draft pick by the Dolphins. Me and you were both in agreement. Like you said, steal of the decade.
Yeah, it was.
And we were like, hell yeah, like you can't let that, like you can't let something like that stop you. And then, but teams did. And then he got traded to Houston, and we were like, Miami, what the hell you doing? And then now it's Houston. What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't really understand this trade on the Houston side. I mean, you just extended him. I mean, you had trouble protecting CJ Stroud last season as it was, and there's nobody obvious on the roster to replace Laramie Tunsil. This is a head scratching trade for me. I don't really get it. I think for the Commanders, it is an absolute slam dunk home run. But from the Texans side, I mean, there's probably more we're going to find out later. I don't understand this trade at all. The other thing that they did earlier this week, or maybe even yesterday, they traded for Kristen Kirk, get another weapon outside of Nico Collins. The 2026 7th-round pick goes to Jacksonville in this trade. I mean, Kristen Kirk, when he's healthy, he's talented, he's a good football player. He's a perfect number 2 next to Nico. This probably signals to me, at least, that Stephon Diggs will not be back on this football.
They also signed Braxton Berrios today, so that's a nice little Tank Dell just for a year.
They also brought in Justin Watson too, former Kansas City Chief.
Okay.
On to the Colts. So they shored up their secondary. They took Kadarius Ward from the San Francisco 49ers. He got a 3-year deal worth $60 million. And they took Cameron Bynum, who had a kind of a breakout season there in Minnesota this most recent season. 4 years, $60 million for his services as they look to rebuild that secondary as they try to figure out what they're going to be doing in the future there in Indianapolis with the quarterback situation. I like both of those two players. I like both of those two contracts. I think if you're Indianapolis, I think this is how you want to build. You want to become one of those gritty, really tough defensive-minded teams because you're probably going to run the football a lot. And this is just another way to just bolster up your defense. Kadarius Ward at one time was the best corner in the NFL.
Another one of the another big body, like bro. People don't understand. Kadarius Ward is he 6'2", 6'3" his damn self.
Yeah,
and like what I said a couple weeks ago about the Kilo Weatherspoon on my Madden team, Kadarius Ward is the exact same. If I can't get him, I gotta have one or the other, and I do work with either one. It's fucking amazing. I with Indy, it's Indy's problem isn't the others. It's literally just the main position that people
Yeah.
are like that you need. So it's yeah, that's the problem with Indy. Like they got to get quarterback figured out. Like I don't have a problem with Javarius Ward getting paid. I
No,
really don't.
he for sure
It's a
deserves it.
it's a bit of a mini overhaul going on out west.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, we'll talk about San Francisco here in a minute. Maybe not in a minute, but at some point. Um, Jacksonville didn't really do anything super major there in Jacksonville. Obviously, they traded away Christian Kirk. No problems with that. He's banged up last season, last 2 seasons really. Jordan Lewis comes over from the Dallas Cowboys. 3 years, $30 million as they try to bolster up that secondary that was atrocious last year. They also brought in Eric Murray as their safety as they signed a 3-year deal. With $22.5 billion there for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I like both of those two moves.
Uh, Ja- Jacksonville is again tough spot. You got Liam Cohen, new guy, new coach. He's
New
trying to
GM
new
too.
GM. They're trying to build this thing in their image. The Cons are short fuse owners. They will get rid of you.
Yeah, it's true.
They will get rid of you.
But I mean, building up the secondary and then addressing your other needs in the draft, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
They still have major questions at offensive line. I mean, they know they brought in Robert Hainsey for 3 years, $21 million. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even know where he played last season. So
I know. I think that was
hold on,
it was a guard for the Steelers that just got signed today too.
yeah, that is.
Dan Moore or something like that.
Oh, Dan Moore was a tackle. He got signed by the Tennessee Titans to a 4-year, $82 million deal, including $50 million in guaranteed money as for the Titans.
That's
As
what
they,
I'm like. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happened. Uh, yeah, hey, it was. I was at the gym like periodically just checking my phone. I'm like, hey, what happened now? What happened now? What happened now? And I was leaving the gym as the Sam Darnold shit broke because it was like before it broke, like they had the Pat McAfee show on one of the TVs, and it's like at the little ticker tape at the bottom. It's like Sam Darnold emerges as the favorite to go to Seattle, and then like 50 minutes later, we got breaking news. Sam Darnold signs
yeah, 3 years, $100 million contract.
3 for 110,
Yeah,
55 guaranteed in Seattle. It's first off good for him. Second of all right, gotta come with
yeah,
it.
100%. We'll come back to that signing here in a few minutes. Let's swing into the AFC West. Talk about the Denver Broncos. They bring in Trey Greenlaw. They actually take two 49er defenders, including Huafanga.
So,
3 years, $45 million, $20 million guaranteed, and then
uh-huh.
Trey Greenlaw comes to the AFC West. Denver, 3 years, $35 million, and a defense is already great. Adds two another great pieces on that defense.
Yeah, that's oh we.
Man,
Whew.
Hufunga is such a fun player to watch. If he could just stay healthy, because he hasn't really been able to last 2 seasons, really.
Yeah,
I those are both slam dunk free agent signings.
that's tough, man. That's oh man. That's a team in Denver who is we won 10 games a year ago. We have to yeah, that's a team in Denver. It's like, hey, we know who we chasing.
Yeah, and I think they're probably still the Cooper Cup landing spot if they can get him without having to trade anything to get him.
That's and I think that's where like not just Denver. I think there are like many teams that are waiting on that. Again,
Yeah,
I think Cooper Cup is probably going to have his pick of the litter.
100%. He'll
Uh,
be able to literally go anywhere he wants to.
go anywhere he wants to.
Into Kansas City now. They did some kind of some moves around the edges there. They bring in Elijah Mitchell, who I'm super high on as a running back. Was banged up all of last season, but when he was a starter there before Christian McCaffrey got there, Elijah Mitchell
Dog,
is a good football player.
dog, dog.
Marquise Brown returns to Kansas City. Trey Smith is on the non-exclusive franchise tag. Will play guard. They re-signed Nick Bolton, 3 years, $45 million.
Had to.
Yeah, had to. I mean, you couldn't let Nick Bolton walk. Obviously, we talked about the Joe Tooney trade. I don't really understand that move on the Kansas City side, but I love it for Chicago. For Kansas City, this is what you got to like. You have to make some moves around the edges. When we did the preview, they don't have a lot of money to work with,
and that's why they did it. That's a Joe Tooney trade. You didn't have a lot of money to work with. Eventually, championship caliber rosters get expensive, and you're not going to be able to keep everybody. So you would rather get something for the pieces that you probably know you're going to lose than not get anything at all. So you were able to get a fourth out of Joe Tooney
next year.
Right? Yeah. Still, you were able to get a fourth round pick, a future fourth out of Joe Tooney. All right, you get an Elijah Mitchell who, if he was a dog in Shanahan's offense when he was playing, what is he gonna do in an Andy Reid type offense?
Yeah, I'm really high on Elijah Mitchell. I think he's a fantastic running back. To the Raiders now, Las Vegas. We talked on Geno Smith a little bit here. But they also brought in Alex Kappa after he was waived by the Cincinnati Bengals. He's going to play offensive guard, 2 years, $11 million. Mm-hmm. They made Max Crosby the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL for a couple days before the Myles Garrett contract was signed. They brought in Jeremy Chin, who I do like, on a 2-year deal worth $16 million because they lost Tayron Moehrig to the Panthers. Yeah. They basically just traded safeties, those two teams.
So Alex Kappa won the offensive lineman triple crown. But TJ, they don't have one. Yeah, they do. It's not a good one that you want to win. It's like Alex Kappa was first in pressures allowed, first in sacks allowed, and I want to say it was like first in QB hits. So whichever defender lined up over Alex Kappa for this past season had a day. They had days. Right? Alex Kappa did not have a good 2024. Was not a good one. And
did not play. Yeah, he didn't play well at all last season.
Did not play well at all. So that's the Triple Crown Alex Kappa won, and it's a Triple Crown that you don't want to win, right? Like that'll almost be like a receiver winning the Triple Crown and least amount of targets, but the most drops and like the least amount of touchdowns, like whatever, like however that math works.
And the Max Crosby signing, that's an absolute culture. Like I think you need to have Max Crosby still in your building as you look to build towards the future with Pete Carroll now as the head coach of this football team. Because
it's like you trying to, like you still want to build that, like you want that classic Raider culture. You know what I'm talking about, like that.
Yeah.
Like you go to the old Oakland Coliseum, like that one section of Raiders fans, they wear shoulder pads with the spikes and they faces painted silver and black, and it's like the section that you don't want to go to if you're a rival, like if you're in a team. Like you need a Max Crosby for that.
To the Chargers, the only really notable move that I'm so far at least re-signing Khalil Mack. I did not think there was going to be a chance that he returns to this football team. 1 year, $18 million, fully guaranteed. So kudos on his agent getting that contract fully guaranteed for $18 million. Khalil Mack is still a good football player. And the Chargers, I guess.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is it for him.
Last season? Yeah, I think so too. I think that's the reason. I think that's the reason that he only did the 1 year deal.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised unless he goes on some straight, like, mercenary type shit. Like, hey, I'm gonna go here for a year. I
don't necessarily know if the Chargers would have been the place I would have gone, but anyway.
Probably not. But hey, it's also what's the most money y'all could get for a year? You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So maybe that's what I don't know if that's what his mindset was, but yeah, I was kind of surprised to see him go back there too. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't think that was going to happen. Swinging into the NFC, let's first start in Dallas. Quietly, surprisingly or not surprisingly, been pretty quiet so far in free agency over the first couple days. They re-signed OC Diggy Duazua. Oh man, I had a
Odigizua.
yeah,
Odigizua.
my voice is still struggling. 4 years, $80 million. They also brought in Javante Williams on a 1 year deal. Gives them some depth at running back that they did not have before. And maybe they can get him to bounce back his career a little bit. But the Cowboys have been pretty quiet. To the Giants, who have been surprisingly really busy so far, including taking Paulson Adebo from the New Orleans Saints, 3 years, $118 million, includes 36 in guaranteed money, fully guaranteed money. That yeah, ESPN, NFL Network might have that number wrong because. But Paulson Adebo, when he's healthy, is one of the better corners in the NFL, and that's a
Mhm.
good get for the Giants.
Yeah, so back to Dallas, the whole Stephen Jones said some weird shit like a couple weeks ago, and it's like, dude, the one thing you can't do is turn into your dad when it comes to the weird shit, saying weird shit,
Yeah,
the Jerryisms as they're called. Like, bro, like your dad is a verb. He has Jerryisms. You don't want Jerryisms. You don't. I sh- like the fact that that's a saying. The fact that that's out there, very telling. You don't want Jerryism. So he's out there saying we're gonna be selectively aggressive. Stephen Jones said that we're gonna be selectively aggressive.
oh
You had
man,
exactly, exactly right. Like you had mainstream media asking, "What the fuck is selectively aggressive? What does that mean?" It's almost like what I explained what Jerry Jones meant a year ago by saying we're all in, and they didn't sign nobody. Like all in meant that the guys that's on the roster, he's taking care of them. That's what all in meant. So that got his money. CD got his money. Now we waiting on Micah to get his money, but Micah might not be there to get his money. Do you know what you can get for Micah Parsons?
a lot.
Do you do you know what you can get for Micah Parsons? Right, like bro, like so it wouldn't surprise me one bit if I mean it would. It would if they actually decide to move off Micah, but you can get a lot for Micah Parsons. So like this whole selective aggressive. So like you re-sign Odigizua, okay, cool. You poach Javante Williams from the Broncos. I actually like that because you
I do.
actually
Yeah,
you
me
actually
too.
do need some kind of a running presence in Dallas, and he's literally better than everything else you got. Like he's better than every running back on your roster right now. You lost Jordan Lewis. Where'd he go? Jacksonville, right? Yeah, you
Yeah,
lost Jordan
yeah.
Lewis, but at the same time, you found somebody in Deron Bland, and you're hoping Trayvon Diggs can stay healthy for a full 17, and you can finally see that duo, go to work. So you just really just got to find another DB3, which you can easily draft, or free agency's not over with yet, so you can easily go get somebody. To the Giants, it's I I I really think like their pieces are gonna fall into place come April, come next month when the draft
Yeah.
starts. I'm really not caring about anything the Giants do until April. Like you re-sign Darius Slayton. I said that. I'm like, hey, people can hate on Darius Slayton all they want. I'm
He's
not.
a he's a he's a he's a pretty solid wide receiver.
I'm like, yeah. If I was the Giants, I'm like, yeah, I'm keeping him. I'm not letting him walk out that door. I don't care what the Giants do until April 26th. Day one
Uh,
of the
t-
draft.
to the Philadelphia Eagles, they obviously made Saquon Barkley the highest paid running back in the history of the NFL. They re-signed Zach Bond after he had his Pro Bowl season, All Pro season as well, and then obviously they traded for Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Yeah, Johnson.
Um, but yeah, they've lost a bunch of players already though. Um, Josh Sweat is no longer on this football team. He signed with
Cardinals.
Arizona. Milton Williams, that we talked about earlier, is in New England. Um, I think I can't remember anybody else on the top of my head right now, but
Who else did they lose? I want to say of the big guys, like that's like of
I think
their
that's
key.
it. I think that's it for right now.
They lost Isaiah Rogers.
Yeah, but he was kind of a backup corner, anyways. But
They yeah. Wait, who we on? What team is this?
just talking about Philadelphia.
Philly. Again, championship rosters get poached the most. Why? Because you just won, and everybody wants you. Everybody wants what was over there to come over here to instill some of what was over there over here. And if you're Philly, you're expected to be there in the end anyway.
Yeah,
Losing Josh Sweat, losing Josh Sweat and Milton Williams like that hurts more. That yeah. But then
I mean
again,
that's why you build to the draft. I mean, they have players that can potentially replace those guys.
literally just plug and play. Literally plug and play. Like
To the Washington Commanders, who have been very busy so far in free agency so far. We talked about Debo Samuel. We talked about Laramie Tunsil. They brought in Javon Kinlaw. They brought Reed back in, Bobby Wagner. They rebought back in their kicker and their punter. Um, they've done some moves around the edges. They brought back in Zach Ertz. But it really did.
Sorry, because like there's literally a Yahoo article about the Eagles. Like the Eagles are gonna be fine. They have a deep roster. It's gonna be fine. Like yeah, they lost Sweat, and they lost Milton Williams, and they lost Darius Slay, and this guy. They're fine. They're gonna be fine.
Totally agree with you. From there, we got to swing into the NFC North, and let's start with our Chicago Bears. They traded for Jonah Jackson late last week. I think it was on Thursday in exchange for a 2025 sixth-round pick. They got Joe Tooney. They got Drew Dahlman from the Atlanta Falcons. They brought in Deo Odedengo. Oh, man. 3 years, $48 million. Grady Jarrett, who got released by the Atlanta Falcons, is now going to be a member of the Chicago Bears. 3 years, $43.5 million. The Chicago Bears have been very, very busy so far this offseason, rebuilding the offensive line and building this team in the trenches, something we talked about during their offseason preview.
Let polls work, man. Like again,
yeah.
Like, it's a. When's the last time we saw one All-Pro lineman come here, let alone two on the offensive side?
It's been a while.
Because everybody wants to shit on Jonah Jackson. Like, dude was an All-Pro a couple years ago.
I mean, he just didn't play much last season because he was injured. But when he's good, when he's right, he's one of the best guards in the NFL.
Easily. And he's played under Ben Johnson before.
Yeah. Yep. I love what the Bears have done. I love spending money. I love, taking these shots. You have the money to spend. I don't know a lot about Drew Dahlman. I know he was the starting center there for Atlanta, who had a good offensive line. I mean, they've done a really good job rebuilding that offensive line over the last couple of days, and now they can probably go edge in the draft, maybe, or something of that nature.
Hey, put it this way, ma. The Falcons re-signed Jake Matthews, right? They re-signed Jake Matthews. People on Twitter saw that news, and every Bears fan, everyone was like, "Oh, I thought that was about Drew Dahlman." They was like, I had double take. I thought the Bears missed out on somebody, but it's again, I love it. Like you don't get anything for Grady. Like you don't have to give up anything for Grady Jarrett. I'm still kind of hoping they re-sign Jack Sanborn. I like him as a rotational piece. He's not gonna wow you. He's not gonna and I said that like Jack Sanborn knows what he is in this league. He's gonna be a rotational piece. He can start a couple games for you if your starter does get hurt. He's that type of linebacker. I still hope they bring him back. If he don't come back, I have no complaints about Jack Sanborn and his time here in Chicago. He was more than serviceable when he was here. But
Uh, Staying in the NFC North, the quieter teams have been the Detroit Lions. They re-signed Marcus Davenport. They brought in DJ Reed from the New York Jets to address the cornerback position because they let Carlton Davis walk in free agency. But the Lions, I mean, they brought Derek Barnes in as well, the linebacker, because they needed depth at the defensive position after what happened to them last year.
yeah,
To Green Bay, they take Aaron Brooks away from San Francisco on a 4-year, $77 million deal. They also bring in one of TJ's favorite players, Nate Hobbs, 4 years, $48
wow,
million.
I did not that one. I didn't know. I didn't know they
Yeah,
signed they
yeah,
Good for him.
448, $16 million, fully guaranteed. They make San Francisco weaker. They get stronger by building up their offensive line.
Okay.
This is a good move there for Green Bay.
It depends on the Aaron Brooks move. It depends on who you ask.
Banks.
Aaron Banks. It depends on who you ask because, like, because of the proximity, Chicago's media follows Green Bay media follows Chicago media, so on and so forth. It's a lot of Green Bay media that's on the fence about the Aaron Banks contract because it's not like you're paying. It's not like,
I mean, it is a lot of money for a guard,
and not just that, a backup guard. Like this was like, is he a guard or a tackle? Because I thought I read somewhere that
they have him listed offensive guard, but I imagine he can play both.
No, because he took some reps at tackle behind Trent Williams when he's hurt. He's the one that slides over to the tackle spot. It's not like, again, if it works out for them, cool, no issue, no problem whatsoever. My problem with Green Bay is, what is the, like, it's almost like a recurring theme, right? Like, I get people not wanting to play with Aaron Rodgers. He's an asshole. He's an asshole. Like, he's not a people person. He's not every bad thing that you can describe, everything bad thing that you can say about Aaron Rodgers as a person, you can say it. Like, and it'll be true. Jordan Love is not that. Like, what is it about offensive weapons that don't go? Because Aaron couldn't get free agents to come. Now it's kind of looking like the same thing with Jordan Love. Like, no one wants to come play. Like, Devontae Adams was right there, and he decides to go back to the West Coast. He decides to go back. He decides to go to the Rams. Like, you mean to tell me if Cooper Kupp gets released, he ain't gonna look at a Green Bay where he could potentially get the ball, where he could potentially slide into the wide receiver one role, possibly. I don't understand why offensive weapons don't go to Green Bay. Like, but where they lack in offensive weapons, like, well, free agency coming in, to their credit, they do draft well.
100%.
Like, I'll give them that, but it's like, at the same time, like, you can't just. It has to be a happy medium of both drafting well and getting free agents to go to you.
Moving a little bit quicker now, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. Aaron Jones, Ryan Kelly, their big haul. They also, within the last 5 minutes, re-signed Byron Murphy to play the cornerback position for them. He had a pretty good season for them last year. I think he was a Pro Bowler. But Ryan Kelly is a good get. Was a multi-time Pro Bowler for the Indianapolis Colts. And bringing back Aaron Jones was something he had to do. There's nobody obvious to replace him. I like what Minnesota has done so far.
No issue with them.
The Atlanta Falcons, their only big move they made so far is re-signing Jake Matthews, 2 years, $45 million, so the 38 of that million guaranteed. There was a time where he was the best tackle in the NFL, or in the conversation for the best tackle in the NFL. He's gotten older for sure, but
100% gotten older. But that's what happens. That's what happens. You get older.
To a very busy team so far in free agency, the Carolina Panthers. So they made J.C. Horn, I think the highest paid corner in the NFL, or one of the highest paid corners in the history of the league.
Oh my.
4 years, $100 million extension. They also brought in Tayron Morig from the Las Vegas Raiders, 3 years, $51 million. They brought back Andy Dalton. That was something they did a few weeks ago. Um, JC Horn is a good football player when he's healthy. I probably wouldn't have made him the fourth highest paid corner in the NFL. But I think when you're Carolina, I think you want to keep rapport. So I think you want to keep the good football players you already have in your
Yes,
building.
absolutely. And and again, it's whew. And to swing over to New Orleans, they re-signed Chase
Chase
Young. Yeah,
Young in the last hour. They also traded for Devon God. I mean, I don't know how to pronounce
gotcha.
this. Godchow. Yeah.
Yeah.
They for a seventh round pick. He's been in New England the last 4 seasons. He comes over. I don't know.
I mean, like, if you New Orleans, I mean, hey, you know this shit finna be ugly, man.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
yeah,
They got
you
no,
got
they got no, they got no money, and they got to figure out how they're gonna sign players. So
hey, it's gonna be ugly in the Big Easy for a minute though. So yeah,
to Tampa Bay, they re-signed Chris Godwin, as many people speculated. 3 years, $66 million. They brought back Levante David. They brought in Hassan Reddick for 1 year, $14 million, 12 of that fully guaranteed. They also signed an offensive guard. They re-signed their offensive guard, 3 years, $22 million. Bringing in Chris Godwin, bringing those guys back, and Devonta Hassan Reddick, when he's in the right situation, can be one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. Um, you put him next to that guy's name is just totally escaped me right now. The big boy they got in the middle
oh,
there,
Vita
the Vita
Vea.
Vea, yeah, Vita Vea. So I mean,
Again, if you're, I said it when we did the season preview. If you're Tampa, I don't give a damn what the others in the division do. I'm focused on Philly. I'm focused on Detroit. I'm focused on San Fran and the Rams. I'm focused on Minnesota and Green Bay to an extent. And I'm focused on Washington and Dallas to an extent. I don't care what the others in my division do. I'm better than them. The only one who has a puncher's chance is who? Atlanta.
I guess I think I'm off that bandwagon now.
That took you long enough.
Yeah, I know, right? To the Arizona Cardinals, now swinging into the NFC West. They brought Josh Sweat in on a 4 year, $76.4 million contract, which means him and his mom are probably going to have to redo that commercial.
Josh.
Kelvin, they brought back Kelvin Beachum. Evan Brown returns to this football team. Baron Browning returns. They
Mhm.
brought in a linebacker. They brought in their long snapper. But their crown jewel of this particular free agency class is Josh Sweat,
Josh
um,
Sweat.
who immediately addresses a major need for Arizona as they really struggle to get pressure on the quarterback. Josh Sweat is a good football player, and this isn't terrible money.
No. It's so like usually where if you're on a championship team, contender or winner, and you go elsewhere, yeah, you're 100% expected to bring what you did there to the new place. So and they paid you. So Josh Sweat can't really have a lull. Right? He can't have a Super Bowl hangover. He can't afford to do that.
I mean, you can make the same argument for Milton Williams too.
Especially him.
Yeah,
Like dude could have been Super Bowl MVP.
hundred
Yeah, he
percent.
was he was a monster. He was a
Uh,
monster.
to the Rams now. They re-signed Jimmy Garoppolo. They restructured Matthew Stafford's contract, so he's going to be there for the foreseeable future. They re-signed Eldrick Robinson, their offensive tackle, on the other side of their offensive line. Devontae Adams agrees to a 2 year deal worth $46 million. They brought back Tudu Atwell, but their crown jewel is absolutely bringing back Matthew Stafford and then combining him with Devontae Adams to give them a really formidable three-headed monster at the offensive weapon position with Kyron Williams and Puka Nakua. And if you want to talk about Tyler Higbee at tight end as the fourth piece of this puzzle, as we don't expect Cooper Kupp to be back.
And it's just like that foursome is terrifying 5 years ago. Um, yeah, like bro, like the three out of the well, two out of the four are older. Like if this was Matthew Stafford 2 3 years ago, like if this is Matthew Stafford who just got to LA, yeah, I'm sweating a little bit. If this is Devontae Adams, a couple like if this was Devontae Adams that went to Vegas the first go round, I'm sweating a little bit. Pair that with this version of Puka Nakua and Kyron Williams, yeah, I'm a little nervous. But you got Matthew Stafford who can still slang with the best of them, coming off of a beat up season a little bit.
Yeah,
Devontae Adams to me still has a lot left. He just has to find. He hasn't had stability since he left Green Bay,
that's
and it's
100% true.
not even his fault.
To San Francisco, it's really more about the players out the door than in the door. They did re-sign Patrick Taylor, who's a running back. Within the last hour, they've waived Kyle Juszczyk, a popular player there for San Francisco. They also lost Hufanga, Elijah Mitchell, Aaron Banks, and Debo Samuel all out the door. As this is a team that really didn't have a lot of money to spend anyways. So this is what happens sometimes.
Yep, ain't nothing else to say. Like bro, like
Yeah.
like like you don't
They
want to
also
say.
lost Kadarius Ward. They lost Trey Greenlaw. All those. Josh Dobbs re-signed elsewhere.
Like, we know what happened with Devondre Campbell. Took his ball and went home.
Yeah,
You don't want to say the window is closing, but the window
yeah.
is
Certainly not open.
not
Uh,
as much
and
as it used to be.
and then the final team that we're going to talk about here today is Seattle Seahawks. The most notable thing they did, besides trade away their two best players, or arguably their two best players, is they brought in Sam Darnold. 3 years, $105 million, with 55 of that million guaranteed. Sam Darnold will make $37.5 million in year number one. Um, is he an upgrade over Geno?
Well, were you considering that Darnold had a career year and Geno didn't?
Yeah, but I mean, Justin Jefferson and that offense and Jordan Addison is not walking through that door in Seattle, and
No, no, no.
they progressively made their team worse this offseason by releasing Tyler Lockett, trading away DK Metcalf. And yes, I know Jackson Smith and Jigba is still there, and he's still a good football player, but this offensive line also needs. I don't think this is the way I would have gone if I was Seattle. I think if I was Seattle, I think I would have rather have kept Geno Smith on the final year of his contract or whatever it was, and drafted the potential heir apparent. Sam Darnold's been good for one season. He's literally
Yeah.
been barely startable for the majority of his career, and this feels a lot like Dan Jones. When Dan Jones had one good season, he got paid, and then he was never the same.
No, I'm not finna do that. Daniel Jones has never come close to throwing for 4,000 yards, let alone
Okay, but the scenario is
Daniel,
this.
Daniel Jones has never come close to throwing 35 touchdowns. No, not no. I'm not
Yeah,
finna.
but I mean, Daniel Jones has
No,
also never
okay.
had
Here's
a
the thing.
Justin Jefferson in the
No,
building with him.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Sam Darnold, just like Sam Darnold, like a lot of young QBs, they get thrust onto bad teams with not a lot of help and are said, and are told, here's a sinking ship full of holes, fix it. And then it doesn't go well. It doesn't go well. And all of a sudden, instead of these teams looking in the mirror and saying, what are we doing wrong? They point the finger at that one person and say, we told you to fix this, you didn't do it, you suck, you're gone. And Sam Darnold basically, like, every team he went to was just bad.
I mean,
Jets,
I don't necessarily
bad.
disagree with you. I just think
Carolina, bad.
if you're gonna give Sam Darnold this kind of money, wouldn't you want to give him the best opportunity to be successful? And the best way you can do that is by not trading away DK Metcalf and not releasing Tyler Lockett. Even though Tyler Lockett he's obviously aging and his skills are regressing a little bit,
Well, my thing,
I don't really understand what Seattle's
my
doing.
thing, my thing with DK, like to your point, I don't get me wrong, I 100% understand what you're saying, and I'm in the same mindset as you. But I've been saying it for the longest. DK Metcalf's contract was scheduled to run out right around the time the new crop of receivers started to get paid. So it's no seat. So you are going to lose DK Metcalf anyway.
Yeah.
You ran that risk anyway. You were going to lose him anyway. If on the scale of 1 to 10, that was probably a good 7. Him leaving was probably at a 7. Because he, like, again, Chase got to get his deal. CD got his. DJ, I told you, the deal that DJ Moore got, that's the floor. That's the lowest amount you could possibly offer me to keep me here. He timed that perfectly. He only signed a 3-year deal extension anyway. It lined up perfectly.
Yeah.
With the new crop of wide receiver free agents that's coming. So Seattle ran. I'd rather get something for you than lose you for nothing.
I don't necessarily disagree with that take. I'm not. I think we're gonna look back at the Sam Darnold contract in a couple and be like, maybe that wasn't the best decision.
Now, it also depends on if you're Seattle, who you get. Like, yeah, now you gotta go. Now you gotta go back into the well and be like, all right, we can't just have him throwing the JSN and Jake Bobo and
Noah Font.
Right? Yeah, I need 2 more receivers now, and I'm gonna go get them because it's a pretty deep draft. So we finna work some magic.
But this has been our recap of day 1 of NFL free agency 2025. As we had a very interesting first day of NFL free agency. We are going to be back here tomorrow, switching gears just a little bit, giving you our first mock draft here from Prime Sports World. This first one will not include trades, so you're going to have to try to no trades in this one, TJ. We're going to do our first.
You mean you?
Yeah,
trade.
So this is gonna be tomorrow's gonna be our first NFL mock draft as we get towards the draft season, and then on Wednesday we'll do a full recap of NFL free agencies. The dust should have settled on the remaining contracts in the National Football League. Still waiting for some big time dominoes to fall. Aaron Rodgers has not been released yet. I think that happens on the 13th. It can't happen until the beginning of the league here. Some of these trades also have to wait until that time to be finished as well. But thank you very much for joining us here at Prime Sports World. I'm David Hupp, and right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, kind sir.
Yes, sir. And it was beautiful today, man. It was like almost 70 degrees here in Fort Wayne.
About 64 there.
Yeah, so it's been nice. We'll be back here tomorrow. You all have a good night and stay safe out there. Here comes a message from our sponsor, the Huddle Sports Network. Yeah, take it easy down, TJ.
See you, man.
Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning into real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.